Let's get something straight before we go any further. Walnuts are genuinely one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. That's not hype. That's not some wellness influencer trying to sell you a supplement. Decades of peer-reviewed research back this up. Walnuts are packed with omega-3 fatty acids, specifically a plant-based form called alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA. They carry polyphenols, which are powerful antioxidants. They deliver magnesium, copper, manganese, and a form of vitamin E that's actually hard to find in other foods. For people over 60, walnuts can support cardiovascular health, help manage cholesterol ratios, reduce chronic inflammation, and there's even promising research linking regular walnut consumption to slower cognitive decline. So why on earth would I tell you to be careful? Because here's what most health videos won't say: a good food eaten the wrong way becomes a mediocre food, or worse, a food that actively works against you. And after 60, your body processes things differently. Your metabolism has shifted. Your digestive enzymes aren't as abundant as they were at 35. Your kidneys filter at a different rate. Medications you take interact with nutrients in ways your doctor may never have mentioned. The margin for error is thinner. Walnuts deserve a place in your diet, absolutely, but they deserve to be eaten intelligently. So let's walk through 5 common mistakes, some of them genuinely surprising, that people over 60 make when they add walnuts to their daily routine. And more importantly, let's talk about what to do instead. Mistake number 1: eating salted, roasted, or flavored walnuts and treating them like they're the same as raw. This is probably the most widespread mistake, and it's the sneakiest, because the packaging works against you. You walk down the snack aisle, you see a bag that says "Heart Healthy Walnuts" in big green letters with a little heart icon, and you toss it in the cart feeling virtuous. But flip that bag over, read the back. What you'll often find is a sodium content that would make a cardiologist wince. Many commercially prepared walnut products, the honey-roasted varieties, the smoked and salted mixes, the maple-glazed options, contain between 150 and 300 milligrams of sodium per small serving. That might not sound catastrophic on its own, but let's put it in context. If you're over 60 and managing blood pressure, and statistically, nearly 2 out of 3 American adults over 65 have hypertension, your daily sodium target is ideally under 1,500 milligrams. One generous handful of salted walnuts at snack time, another handful while watching the evening news, and you've just burned through a quarter to a third of your entire day's sodium budget on something you thought was a health food. But sodium isn't the only issue with roasted and flavored varieties. Here's something most people don't realize. The high-heat roasting process damages the polyunsaturated fats in walnuts, those delicate omega-3 fatty acids, the very thing that makes walnuts special compared to, say, almonds or cashews, are heat-sensitive. When manufacturers roast walnuts at temperatures above 300 degrees Fahrenheit, a portion of those beneficial fats undergo oxidation. Oxidized fats don't help your cardiovascular system. They stress it. They generate free radicals, which are the exact opposite of what you want circulating in aging blood vessels. And then there are the coatings. Honey-roasted walnuts carry added sugars. Some flavored varieties include seed oils, maltodextrin, or artificial flavoring compounds. You're essentially dressing up a superfood in junk food clothing and wondering why it isn't performing miracles. So what should you do instead? Buy raw, unsalted walnuts. Plain, unroasted. If you find them at a bulk bin, even better. They tend to be fresher, and you can inspect them before buying. If raw walnuts taste too bland to you at first, try this. Toast them yourself at home in a dry skillet over low heat for 3 to 4 minutes, just until they become fragrant and slightly golden. Low, gentle heat. You preserve far more of the omega-3 content than industrial roasting does, and the flavor deepens beautifully. Sprinkle a tiny pinch of sea salt if you absolutely need it. You'll use a fraction of what a manufacturer dumps on, a squeeze of lemon zest, a dusting of cinnamon. You're in control. That small shift from grabbing a flavored bag to buying raw and preparing them gently at home, is the difference between a snack that's working for your heart and a snack that's quietly working against it. Mistake number 2. Eating too many walnuts in a single sitting and underestimating calorie density. Now, I want to be careful here because I am absolutely not saying walnuts are fattening or that you should fear the calories in whole foods. That's not the point. The point is about portions and awareness, because walnuts are one of the most calorie-dense foods you can eat, and most people drastically underestimate just how concentrated they are. 1 ounce of walnuts, that's roughly 14 halves, about a small palmful, contains around 185 calories and 18 grams of fat. Healthy fat, yes, but still fat and still calories that your body has to account for. After 60, your basal metabolic rate, the number of calories you burn just existing, has typically declined by somewhere between 15 and 25% compared to your 30s. Your activity level may have shifted. Muscle mass has decreased, which means you burn fewer calories at rest. Here's where the mistake happens. Someone reads that walnuts are a superfood. They buy a big bag. They sit down with the bag open next to them while reading or watching television. They reach in again and again without measuring or thinking about it. Over the course of an evening, they've consumed 3, 4, maybe 5 ounces. That's somewhere between 550 and 925 calories from walnuts alone. Add that on top of 3 regular meals, and you've created a consistent caloric surplus without even realizing it. Over weeks and months, that surplus becomes visible. Pants feel tighter. The number on the scale creeps. And the cruel irony is that the person gains weight while genuinely trying to eat healthier, which is discouraging. It makes people give up. They think, well, healthy eating doesn't even work for me. It does work. The amount was just off. A woman I once knew, 71 years old, lovely person, very health conscious, told her daughter she'd been eating a bowl of walnuts every afternoon because she saw a segment on the news about brain health. Her daughter asked how big the bowl was. She held up her cereal bowl. That's easily 4 to 5 ounces. Nearly a full day's worth of calories for some seniors, packed into one ceramic dish of nuts consumed as a casual snack. The research-backed sweet spot? About 1 ounce per day, 14 walnut halves. Some studies that showed cognitive benefits in older adults, including a well-known trial published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, used roughly 1 to 1.5 ounces daily. That's the therapeutic range. More doesn't mean better. Your body can only process and utilize so many polyphenols and omega-3s at a time. Beyond that, the excess is simply caloric overflow. Practical tip: measure out your daily portion into a small ramekin or a shot glass. Keep the big bag sealed and put away. When the ramekin is empty, you're done. It sounds almost too simple, but this one habit prevents mindless overconsumption more effectively than any amount of willpower. Before we get to mistake number 3, and honestly, number 3 is the one that surprises people the most, I want to pause for just a moment. If you're over 60, or if you're caring for an elderly parent or loved one, this kind of information genuinely matters. Small dietary mistakes compound over time, and they're so easy to fix once you know about them. If this is helpful to you, tap that subscribe button right now so you don't miss future videos like this one. And if someone you love eats walnuts regularly, send them this video. It could make a real difference. Alright, let's keep going. Mistake number 3. Not soaking walnuts before eating them, and missing out on significantly better nutrient absorption. This is the one that makes people tilt their heads. Soaking? Like in water? Yes. And there's a very real biochemical reason for it. Walnuts, like all nuts and seeds, contain compounds called phytates, sometimes referred to as phytic acid. Phytates serve as a storage form of phosphorus for the seed itself. They're part of the nut's survival mechanism. But when you eat foods high in phytic acid, those compounds bind to minerals in your digestive tract, zinc, iron, calcium, magnesium, and form insoluble complexes that your body simply cannot absorb. They pass right through you. Now, for a 25-year-old with robust digestion and a varied diet, this is a minor footnote. But after 60, your stomach acid production has often declined. Your pancreatic enzyme output is lower. Your intestinal lining absorbs nutrients less efficiently to begin with. Layer phytate interference on top of age-related absorption decline, and you've got a genuine problem. You're eating a food that's theoretically rich in magnesium and zinc, but a meaningful percentage of those minerals is being escorted out of your body before it ever reaches your bloodstream. Soaking helps. When you submerge raw walnuts in room temperature filtered water for anywhere between 4 and 8 hours, overnight works perfectly. A process called enzymatic activation begins. The water triggers the release of the enzyme phytase, which breaks down a significant portion of the phytic acid. Studies suggest soaking can reduce phytate content by anywhere from 30 to 70% depending on duration and conditions. The result? Softer walnuts that are gentler on aging teeth and gums, easier digestion, less of that heavy, bloated feeling some seniors report after eating raw nuts, and substantially better mineral bioavailability. Your body actually receives the magnesium, the zinc, the iron it's been promised. Here's a simple overnight routine. Before you go to bed, drop your next day's portion of raw walnuts into a small glass or mason jar. Cover them with filtered water. Add a tiny pinch of sea salt. This helps activate the phytase more efficiently. Leave them on the counter overnight. In the morning, drain and rinse them. They'll look a bit plumper, slightly swollen. The skin may feel softer. Eat them just like that, or pat them dry and add them to oatmeal, yogurt, or a salad. If the softer texture bothers you, you can dehydrate the soaked walnuts in your oven at the lowest setting, around 150 to 170 degrees Fahrenheit, for 12 to 24 hours. This returns the crunch without the high heat damage of commercial roasting. Some people do a big batch once a week and store the dried, soaked walnuts in a glass jar in the refrigerator. 10 minutes of effort on a Sunday afternoon sets you up for the entire week. Your gut will thank you. Your bones will thank you. And those minerals you've been paying for with every bag of walnuts will actually end up where they belong, inside your cells, doing their job. Mistake number 4, ignoring how walnuts interact with blood-thinning medications. This one is serious, and it doesn't get talked about nearly enough. Walnuts contain a meaningful amount of omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin E, both of which have mild natural anticoagulant properties. On their own, in normal dietary amounts, this is part of what makes walnuts heart-friendly. They help keep blood flowing smoothly, reduce platelet aggregation slightly, and support healthy vascular function. But here's where it gets complicated. Millions of Americans over 60 take prescription blood thinners. Warfarin, sold under the brand name Coumadin, is still one of the most commonly prescribed anticoagulants in the country. Newer medications like apixaban, rivaroxaban, and dabigatran are also widely used. And if you're taking low-dose aspirin daily as a cardiovascular preventive, which many seniors still do on their doctor's recommendation, you already have a baseline anticoagulant effect happening in your body. Adding a concentrated daily source of omega-3s and vitamin E on top of that shifts the equation. The risk isn't dramatic or immediate. Eating a handful of walnuts won't cause a hemorrhage. The risk is cumulative and subtle. Over time, the combined anticoagulant effect can extend your bleeding time beyond what's safe. A small cut takes longer to stop bleeding. A bruise from bumping your shin on the coffee table becomes dark purple and takes weeks to fade. Internal microbleeds, particularly dangerous for seniors because of the risk of cerebrovascular events, become slightly more probable. A retired pharmacist once shared something that stuck with me. He said the problem isn't that any single food is dangerous with blood thinners. The problem is that patients add walnut oil to their morning smoothie, eat a handful of walnuts at lunch, take a fish oil capsule at dinner, and drizzle flaxseed oil on their salad. And nobody is adding up the total omega-3 and vitamin E load against their medication dosage. Each item seems harmless in isolation. Together, they create a compounding anticoagulant effect that nobody is monitoring. What should you do? First, and I cannot stress this enough, do not stop taking your prescribed medication because of anything you hear in a video. That's between you and your physician. Instead, bring your walnuts to the conversation. Literally. Next time you see your doctor or pharmacist, tell them exactly how many walnuts you eat daily. Ask whether your current intake level is safe alongside your specific medication and dosage. If you're on Warfarin, your doctor monitors your INR levels. That's a measure of how quickly your blood clots. Consistent daily walnut consumption can influence those numbers, and your doctor may need to adjust your dosage or your monitoring schedule accordingly. The key word is consistent. Wild fluctuation, eating no walnuts 1 week and a half pound the next, is actually more dangerous with warfarin than steady daily intake because warfarin dosing is calibrated against a stable dietary baseline. Pick your amount, stick with it, tell your doctor. That trifecta keeps you safe. Mistake number 5: storing walnuts improperly and eating rancid nuts without realizing it. This final mistake is unglamorous. Nobody makes viral content about nut storage. But it might be the most practically important point on this entire list because rancid walnuts don't just taste bad, they're actively harmful. And the majority of people over 60 that I've spoken with cannot reliably distinguish fresh walnuts from slightly rancid ones. Here's why walnuts go rancid faster than almost any other common nut. Remember those polyunsaturated omega-3 fatty acids we've been celebrating this entire video? They're chemically unstable. The same molecular structure that makes them biologically valuable, multiple double bonds in the carbon chain, makes them extraordinarily vulnerable to oxidation when exposed to heat, light, and air. Walnuts contain roughly 47 grams of polyunsaturated fat per half cup. Compare that to almonds, which contain about 6 grams in the same serving. Walnuts oxidize faster, much faster. When walnut oil goes rancid, it produces compounds called aldehydes and lipid peroxides. These are not benign. Lipid peroxides generate free radicals in your digestive tract and bloodstream. Free radicals damage cell membranes, accelerate arterial plaque formation, and increase systemic inflammation. The exact processes that drive cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and joint deterioration in aging adults. Consuming rancid walnuts doesn't just negate their health benefits, it reverses them. You're eating a pro-inflammatory, pro-oxidative food while believing you're doing something protective. The smell of fresh walnuts is mild and slightly sweet, faintly earthy, almost buttery. Rancid walnuts develop a sharp, paint-like chemical odor, sometimes described as resembling old crayons or drying varnish. The taste shifts from gently bitter and rich to acrid, scratchy at the back of your throat, almost astringent. If you bite into a walnut and your tongue puckers or you get a sharp, bitter aftertaste that lingers unpleasantly, that walnut has turned. But here's the problem. Age-related olfactory decline means many seniors have a diminished sense of smell. The paint-like sharpness of rancid walnut oil might register as only mildly off, or not at all. And if you've been eating walnuts from the same bag for 3 months, the rancidity crept in so gradually that your palate adjusted without alerting you. Storage is your defense. Raw, shelled walnuts belong in the refrigerator, sealed in an airtight glass jar or a heavy-duty Ziploc bag with as much air pressed out as possible. In the fridge, they'll stay fresh for up to 6 months. In the freezer, up to a year, sometimes longer. At room temperature, in your pantry, exposed to fluctuating kitchen heat and ambient light, they begin oxidizing within 2 to 4 weeks. By 6 weeks on the counter in summer, they're likely compromised. Buy smaller quantities more frequently rather than one enormous warehouse club bag that sits around for months. Smell them before you eat them, every time. If there's any sharpness, any chemical edge, any whiff of something that reminds you of a hardware store, throw them out. The cost of a discarded handful of walnuts is nothing compared to the cost of feeding your body oxidized fats day after day. One more detail that matters. If you buy walnuts in clear plastic packaging that's been sitting under fluorescent lights on a grocery store shelf, those nuts have already been absorbing light damage for however long they've been displayed. Whenever possible, choose walnuts sold in opaque packaging or stored in bulk bins that are shielded from direct light. Dark containers, dark shelves, cold storage. Treat walnuts more like you'd treat a delicate cooking oil than a shelf-stable snack, because biochemically, that's exactly what they are. let's bring it all together. Walnuts are a remarkable food. The research supporting their benefits for heart health, brain function, and inflammatory balance in older adults is robust and growing. Eating a small portion daily after 60 is one of the simplest, most accessible nutritional upgrades you can make. But the details matter. Mistake 1: choosing salted, roasted, or flavored varieties that carry hidden sodium, damaged fats, and added sugars. The fix is simple: buy raw, unsalted, and toast gently at home if you want warmth and crunch. Mistake 2: eating too many in one sitting, underestimating calorie density, and inadvertently gaining weight. The fix: 1 ounce a day, measured into a small dish, bag sealed and stored away. Mistake 3: skipping the soak and letting phytic acid steal your minerals before they reach your bloodstream. The fix: an overnight soak in salted water, drain in the morning, and enjoy walnuts your body can actually use. Mistake 4: overlooking how daily walnut consumption interacts with blood-thinning medications, creating a compounding anticoagulant effect nobody is tracking. The fix: tell your doctor exactly what you're eating, keep your intake consistent, and monitor your levels. Mistake 5: storing walnuts improperly and unknowingly consuming rancid fats that generate the very free radicals you're trying to fight. The fix: refrigerate in airtight containers, buy smaller quantities, smell before eating, and discard anything that smells sharp or chemical. 5 mistakes, 5 fixes. None of them are expensive. None of them are complicated. All of them within your control, starting tonight. You deserve to get the full benefit of every good choice you make. You've earned that. Every walnut you eat should be working for you, not against you, not halfway, not undermined by a storage oversight or a flavoring gimmick. The whole benefit. That's what you're after, and now you know how to get it. If this video helped you see walnuts differently, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We publish new senior health content every single week, all of it practical, all of it researched, all of it made for you. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these 5 mistakes surprised you the most? I read every single comment and I'd love to hear from you. And please, share this video with someone you care about, a spouse, a sibling, an old friend. The information only helps if it reaches the people who need it. Take care of yourselves. You're doing better than you think.